What I'm just going to show you is a little bit of context here. The first one, which I asked you to look at, is The Ruined Maid, which is by Thomas Hardy. Now, this is not terribly relevant to this particular poem, other than the idea of the fallen woman again. You might know this poem, you might not, but just to put it in context, this was also 19th century. Can't remember the exact date, so look it up. And Thomas Hardy in particular, he disliked that sort of double standard of men having sex with prostitutes and then the prostitutes being fallen women and losing kind of their reputation. And you'll see that here. Sorry about my emails going off. With this poem, this is two women who meet each other in town. And they both used to work on a farm together, so they would have been lower class women, sort of working farm girls, essentially. And what's quite lovely about it is the language. It's very much written in sort of country accent, so you get this sense of the lower class. So you've got Amelia, who is the ruined maid, as it were, and then you have the other one who's speaking to her, whose name I can't see, and she kind of talks about how she has changed. Now, you've noticed I've blacked these out. Well, I've tried to highlight them, but obviously I'm cheap and couldn't afford colour printing. And it's repeated, this refrain, every time, said she. So again, it's interesting to compare to A Doll's House, only as context, by the way. You wouldn't want to bring it in other words. You wouldn't necessarily need to talk about it, but it could be something you find interesting. So basically, to put it simply, Amelia, this does everything crown, supposed to meet you in town, whence such fair garments, such prosperity. So essentially, they both worked on a farm. She's just bumped into her and she's noticing that Amelia is looking really quite posh. Oh, didn't you know I'd been ruined, said she. Notice how she doesn't have a name. She's unnamed here. You left us in tatters, without shoes or socks, tired of digging potatoes, spudding up docks. Now you've gay bracelets and bright feathers. So again, this idea that physically she looks very attractive. She's got nice clothes on. That's how we dress when we're ruined. So you'll notice this repetition here of this sort of, well, it's not quite refrain because the lines changes ever so slightly, but there's repetition in every stanza. At home you say thee and thou and thickoon and they zoon and t'other, but now you're talking fits for a company. So again, this suggestion that since she has become ruined, she's become a bit classier. Now, you're probably wondering what the ruined part is. Well, basically, the suggestion is that she's had sex. She's now essentially a prostitute or a fallen woman. But, of course, she's quite glamorous, a bit more like an escort, I suppose. So she's got little gloves. She looks like a lady, again, higher class. We never do work when we're ruined. So when she worked on the farm, she was all bruised and battered and unattractive. But now she's a lady. Or she looks like a lady because of her new job, as it were. One's pretty lively when ruined, and then this last one, just to kind of skip a go. I wish I had feathers, a fine sweeping gown, and a delicate face, and could strut about town. So her friend, who still works on the farm, wishes she looks as good. And she says, a raw country girl such as you be cannot quite expect that. You ain't ruined. So in other words, she's basically saying you'll never be this classy because you're not ruined. Now, of course, the idea of being ruined sounds awful. Because, of course, it's suggesting that women who were ruined were wasted. But, of course, that's the point that he's making here, is that she can never get rid of this stigma of being a ruined woman, even though she looks great and is successful. She has essentially destroyed any chances she has at security. And as I said, Thomas Hardy was responding to this sort of hypocrisy he saw of men, especially married men, who would have sex with prostitutes and kind of get away with it, whereas for the women, it really affected your chances in life. The last one just to compare with here is An Apple Gathering, which is another Rossetti poem. But this one, 1857, so a little bit before, a couple of years before Maude, Clare. And it's just again to explain the imagery that she uses of the flowers. So just show you very quickly, I plucked, so again that word plucked, we had that in Maude Clare, pink blossoms from my apple tree and wore them all that evening in my hair. Then in due season when I went to see, I found no apples there. So she basically picked the flowers off her tree to wear in her hair. She wanted to look beautiful, but because she picked the flowers, the fruit wouldn't grow. So with dangling basket all along the grass, I came self-same track. My neighbours mocked me when they saw me pass, so empty-handed back. So the apples here are a symbol of her fertility and her eligibility to be married. So because she chose to wear them in her hair to think about going out kind of like a young single lady, she has lost out on the opportunity to get married. It's a really lovely poem, so do have a look at that one as well, and then hints at kind of relationships she's passed out because of it. Okay, so the other poem I did talk about as homework, just as an extra one, was Cousin Kate, which is very similar in theme, but unfortunately I don't seem to have a copy of it in here. So but again, the idea of being married, meaning that you get the security against other people. So that is Maude Clare. Hopefully you found that useful, and you can start making links now to A Doll's House. Thank you.